After a meeting with the Prime Minister of Haiti, Ariel Henry, and the National Police, the Guinean mission formally concluded its first exploratory visit to the Caribbean country. Digital services law and institutionalized social media censorship across the European Union comes into force. And Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel arrived this Friday in Mozambique on a state visit to strengthen the historic ties of friendship between the two nations. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Rosabal from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. After a meeting with the Prime Minister of Haiti, Ariel Henry, and the National Police, the Guinean mission formally concluded its first exploratory visit to the Caribbean country. The African group, led by Ambassador George Farina, held a lengthy meeting which was considered by the Haitian police to be very useful. In this way, police forces expressed their confidence that the advised experts from various countries could make more than efficient in the fight against crime, while ratifying that they do not intend to have their functions replaced by a multinational force. For its part, the Guinean mission only stated that the summary of the visit could be presented in a report to the Secretary of the United Nations and the Security Council of the organism. In Guatemala on Thursday, members of the civil society organization Mirador Electoral have filed a complaint for coercion to vote during election day last Sunday, August 20th. Representatives of the organization Acción Ciudadana, which is part of the larger platform, documented actions that would point to vote buying in several municipalities. The report, which also included the first electoral round of June 15, registered the delivery of vouchers and food to voters by activists of the National Unity of Hope, Vamos, and Cabal parties. Furthermore, members of the CSO have stated in the past days that results have shown an overwhelming victory of Semilla candidate Bernardo Arevalo, despite his moves at hands of opposing forces. Eric Cox, representative of the organization, questioned the fact that these complaints have not attended to the judicial authorities. Venezuelan Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez accused in a press conference on Thursday that he called city leaders of the extreme right of making irresponsible calls to the Bolivarian armed forces.
We have seen lately, in the last weeks, in the last days, statements by pseudo leaders of the Venezuelan political opposition making irresponsible calls to the Bolivarian National Armed Forces. The armed forces have a constitutional role to fulfill. It is not necessary that someone use the Bolivarian National Armed Forces for his own partisan purposes. We reject that outright. That is not the role of a political party, of a democratic leader here in Venezuela. It wouldn't be the role.
In this regard, Padrino Lopez reaffirms the commitment of the armed forces to enforce the will of the Venezuelan people.
Well, we want to tell the people of Venezuela that the Bolivarian National Armed Forces are here, ready and willing to carry out these free and fair elections. Free and fair election to the greatest expression of national peace. We have seen it throughout these years, even in the constituent elections, an event where much of the violence prevailed. More than 1,000 machines were destroyed. Well, we are going to be very vigilant, and we are going to ensure the execution of these elections as established by our laws and our institutions themselves.
Likewise, a senior military official said that since 2014, more than 20 conspiracies against government authorities have been foiled.
We cannot forget that we continue to be classified as an unusual and extraordinary threat to the United States of America, and that from 2014 to the present date, more than 20 conspiracy plans have been plotted with the clear objective of attacking the integrity of the legitimately constituted Venezuelan authorities.
The head of the defense portfolio announced that the unilateral coercive measures imposed by the United States and its allies are an attack on the Venezuelan people.
This agenda of the fascist right wing is part of an escalation of actions that flagrantly and treacherously affect the stability of the Republic. Hence, the doomsayers of chaos and disaster have proposed, as an electoral strategy, to hinder the current efforts of the Venezuelan state to achieve its most precious consensus, such as preserving peace and unity, condemning and demanding the lifting of criminal sanctions, and promoting economic recovery through the construction of a new diversified productive model, which will lead us towards the restitution of the state of social welfare.
Brazil's notorious military police, a relic of the military dictatorship years, continues to commit large-scale human rights abuses against the poor and black population. What can be done to stop them? In Recife, our correspondent Brian Meyer reports.
Jair Bolsonaro, who encouraged police violence, may no longer be in power, but the police genocide against Brazil's poor, primarily black population on the urban periphery continues, with 45 people killed by police in the first week of August alone, and dozens of summary executions and episodes of torture registered by human rights groups during the first half of 2023.
The problem with the military police here in Brazil is that they don't see us socially as human beings. We are identified by our color. They don't give us a chance to show who we are as black mothers and fathers of families, poor workers, or students.
The main culprit in this ongoing terror against Brazil's poor are its notorious military police. Ostensibly run by the state governors, they operate on the margins of the law and their actions aren't regulated by the criminal courts. Between 2003 and 2016, the Workers' Party tried to pass a constitutional amendment disbanding them 3 times, but each time they were blocked by conservative parties in their own governing coalition.
It is fundamental that we demilitarize the police. It's important to remember that the police are associated with tactics to repress the population that were used during the military dictatorship period. They view the people as agitators and they treat our nation's poor population with absurd levels of violence and disrespect.
Brian Meyer, TeleSUR, Recife.
Let's take a short break, but remember to join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English. We'll be finding us in different formats, new dates, and more. All the studies coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. Digital services law that institutionalized social media and censorship across the European Union comes into force. Thierry Breton, European Commissioner for the Internal Market and Services, explained that this rule gives states the power to censor social media content that they deem to threaten their stability or even incite protests. From Friday, the Union will apply the law to all social media platforms, allowing a post, story, on Instagram or Facebook to be considered a risk if it promotes hate or violence online. Many activists said the law restricts freedom of expression. In Italy, the heat wave has reached its peak this Friday, and 19 cities are on the red alert. The warning extends to the city of Bari, Bologna, Bolzano, and Brescia, among others, where it is confirmed that temperatures will remain at 40 degrees Celsius. In order to solve the situation, the municipalities have made available to tourists maps of drinking water supplies and assistance services. Rome's vast network of water fountains, with 2,900 spread throughout the city, is a great help this day for the thousands of tourists visiting the Italian capital and the Vatican. It is expected that by Sunday the heat wave will cease and temperatures will drop between 15 and 20 degrees. In Greece, the forest fire emergency continues as firefighting services are trying to contain the numerous fires throughout the country. Wind continues to be one of the main problems in containing a blaze that has already devastated more than 62,000 hectares since last Saturday. Some 505 fires, including personnel from the Czech Republic, Bulgaria, and Romania, and more than 100 vehicles and 6 area vehicles are trying to contain some fronts in a brush and prevent a distinguished outbreak from rekindling efforts are focused on the Daria forest, where the short bodies of 27 migrants and asylum seekers who had entered Brics from nearby Turkey were found. The Police Prosecutor's Office of the Supreme Court of Greece requested on Wednesday an investigation into whether the serious fires in Ebras are part of a criminal organization's plan. In Pakistan, families waded through water and cattle were located onto boats into a mass evacuation of around 100,000 people in the Punjab province. According to local authorities, several hundred villages and thousands of acres of cropland in the central province were inundated when the Solar River burst its banks on Sunday. Rescue boats traveled from village to village over the past several days, collecting people forced to wait on the roof of their homes as the water level rose around them. Others pushed their motorcycles through shallower waters or held belongings above their heads until they found a dry ground. The head of Punjab's government, Mushin Naki, said the monsoon rains prompted authorities in India to release the excess reservoir water into the Solar River, causing flooding downstream on the Pakistan side of the border. North Korea has rejected Japan's decision to run water from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant into the sea. The foreign ministry issued a statement demanding that Japan immediately reverse its decision to dump nuclear waste into the sea, saying it threatened lives, the geological environment, security, and the future of humanity. Pyongyang says Japan must take full responsibility for the consequences of the decision. TeleSUR English launches its own videos on demand sites for you to go and revisit our interviews, sub-stories, special broadcastings, and more. Just go to the top left corner on our website homepage and click on the video option to access our VOD platform. Now we have a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. In South Africa, the 15th summit of the Brics concluded on Thursday with the incorporation of 6 countries to the bloc, described by analysts and various international political figures at a historic meeting. The Brics summit at Johannesburg ended with fundamental decisions for the world order. The 5 members of the Brics agreed to expand their alliance with 6 new countries: Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. The summit declaration called for reform of the international organizations, including the United Nations Council. Therefore, issues such as the reform of the international financial system and the de-dollarization were addressed. Brics emphasized the need to use local currencies in international trade and financial transactions among its members.
We have consensus on the first phase of this expansion process, and other phases will follow. We have decided to invite the Argentine Republic, the Arab Republic of Egypt, the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates to become full members of Brics. The membership will take effect from the 1st of January 2024.
Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farad Al Saud spoke at the Brics meeting in South Africa on Thursday, as Saudi Arabia was among the 6 nations invited to join the bloc of developing economies.
The kingdom has the capabilities that make its economy promising in terms of area, population density, geographical location that connects 3 continents, and the waterways adjacent to it allow the conduct of global trade. In addition to its potential natural materials for energy, mining, renewable energy, and infrastructure projects. The distinguished strategic relationship between the Kingdom and the BRICS Group is reinforced by the framework of common principles, the most prominent of which is the firm belief in the principle of respecting the sovereignty and independence of states, non-interference in their affairs, adhering to principles of international law, and settling disputes by peaceful means.
Chinese President Xi Jinping called on Thursday for joint efforts in the building community of shared development and make sure that no country is left behind in the process of global modernization. She made the remarks at the BRICS Africa Outreach and BRICS Plus dialogue held in Johannesburg, South Africa, on the sidelines of the 15th BRICS Summit.
China is a friend that Africa can count on. Over the past decade, China has provided a large amount of development assistance to Africa and helped build more than 6,000 kilometers of railway, over 6,000 kilometers of highway, and 80-plus large-scale power facilities on the continent. Going forward, China will carry out more cooperation with African countries to support Africa in enhancing its own capacity for development. Specific measures will be taken, such as providing satellite mapping data products, implementing a smart customs cooperation partnership, and launching with UNESCO a GDI for Africa's Future Action Plan to support sustainable development in Africa. Dear colleagues, let us stay confident and united to build a community with shared development and make sure that in the process of global modernization, no country is left behind.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov criticized the United States' position in relation to the African countries, specifically a law passed by the U.S. Congress that promoted rejection of African countries.
Look at how the United States is literally grooming African countries, dictating its will. A law was passed not so long ago, last year, called the Law on Preventing Russia's Evil Activities in Africa. When it was passed in the first reading in the House of Representatives before the Senate, Africans were outraged. They raised their voices against such boorish treatment of them. Now, they are apparently in this House of Representatives thinking about how to change the name, but the essence of this law, of course, will remain.
In the context of the 15th BRICS Summit, the President of the Indian International Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Anil Trigunaya, said that the participation of countries from different continents in the association could turn BRICS into a major economic and global platform.
Countries that have directly or indirectly expressed interest in joining BRICS. And that means participation of countries from different continents, including the rich Gulf countries, which could turn BRICS into a major economic and global platform, a kind of new G20.
Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel arrived this Friday in Mozambique on a state visit that will serve to strengthen the historical ties of friendship between the two nations. Coming from South Africa, where he participated in the historic summit of the BRICS, representing the group of 77 plus China, he was received at Maputo Airport by the Minister of Foreign Business and Cooperation of Mozambique, Veronica Macamo. The head of state is accompanied by his wife, Liz Cuesta, the Foreign Minister, Bruno Rodriguez, the Minister of Health, Angel Portal, and the head of the Department of International Relations of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Cuba, Emilio Lozada. The head of state is scheduled to meet with his Mozambican counterpart, Felipe Nyusi. The United Nations had been warning since mid-April that the war in Sudan could destroy the entire country. Referring to the crisis in the African country, the UN Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs, Martin Griffiths, asserts that it will reach epic proportion if ceasefires and urgent humanitarian agreements are not reached. According to the office, more than 4.5 million people have been displaced from their homes. Recent figures from the organization Save the Children announced the death of nearly 500 children for starvation, and other organizations are already daring to use the word genocide to refer to the Western Darfur. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Ana Rosabal. Thank you for watching.